crank it up loud. Let the story unfold. We're the masters of smash. Be brave and be bold. In the heart of the battle, we'll rise from the ground. With every beat pumping in a warrior sound.
Oh,
Hey,
wow.
welcome to Smash Masters podcast. You made it just in time. Episode 90. This is where we talk about collision repair, PDR, everything in between. I'm Stefan Eschi. That's Nick Priest.
What's up, guys?
Welcome to episode 90.
Alex is first today. What's up, Alex? How are you
What's
doing?
going on, Alex? Our representative from MoClamp and regular listener. Appreciate it.
Yep. Yeah, we're coming up on episode 100. What are we going to do for episode 100? We're going to do something. Are we going to do something fun, something creative, or are we just going to be like, hey, we're here?
Maybe. I wonder if that's going to 10 weeks away. I think we're going to be just shy of it. I don't know. Maybe we can. So we have plans. They're coming up to go to Canada to the Cam Auto competition. It's in May. So that's coming up pretty soon. I don't really plan to go live from there, but we were planning to do a whole bunch of recording and like interviews with the people that will be there. And maybe we could put out those interviews as our 100th episode. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here.
Yeah, maybe we could do that.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll figure something out. We'll figure out something.
All right.
Maybe we'll do a Dent Nerd style and bring in like 8 guests and just
wow. We can have everybody on talking at the same time, huh?
till 3 a.m, and then we'll go off live and talk for another 3 hours.
Yeah.
Chris,
That's the only time, Louis, I would expect you to think about us when you were on the toilet. I appreciate that. Always.
Chris says sick of this cold weather, man. We just got another blizzard up here, another foot of snow.
So I called you the other day and I was wearing shorts. I said it's 70 degrees. It's nice out here today. Well, the low tonight is 26 and it's back cold again. So
I don't feel bad for you. Sorry.
Yeah, I know you don't.
Not even in the slightest.
I had a few good days of warmer weather, though. I mean, no snow or anything like that crazy, but something going on.
It was nasty. I mean, it was bad enough today. I don't usually do this, but I didn't go to work because of the weather. It was my little road wasn't plowed until about 10. And by that time, I had more to do here. The dog's having an issue with her paw. So I was like, yeah.
You didn't go to work? Did other people go to work? Or did you let your boss go to work?
I heard a few people went in, but just a few. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad here. And I don't live really close to work. And I just put a whole bunch of money into my RAV4. So I'm not really putting it on the line if I don't have to. And the governor told us all to stay home. So I stayed home.
Yeah.
The snow can go shovel itself. Yeah. Good luck with that one, Chris. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got a great show for you guys this week. Might as well just bring them out here. We got a body tech from Phoenix, Arizona.
All right.
Hey, how you doing, man?
What's going on?
Good.
Thanks for joining us. He's still in the shop.
Still in the shop, yeah.
Well,
those after hours, they don't talk about it, but they count.
Nice. I mean, somebody's got to do the work, right?
Right. Yeah.
For sure.
He's going quiet at that point.
Yeah, I told him when he popped in, I was like, he's gonna have to do a toolbox tour, showing the toolbox in the background. He'll end up showing top drawers and all that other stuff live on the show. I was just kidding, though. No way. You don't have to do that.
No, we probably don't want to dig into that. There's probably a lot to show in that toolbox.
You don't know who doesn't want to dig into that stuff. People might.
Okay,
no, I'm just kidding, guys.
Sorry. I have a little story to tell. So, Roy and I pass text messages quite a bit, and videos and such. And He follows me, and there was a post I made, and I since deleted the post, so you won't go able to find it. But I was a little annoyed one day. I've got a team at work, and most of them decided to shun me by only speaking Spanish to each other, especially around me. So I went on social media and I complained about it, which is ugly, which is why I deleted the post. But during that post, certain people saw it, and it turned out not to be as universal as a theme I thought. But Roy sent me a message. He's like, "Hey, I gotta send you something." Okay, it's kind of random, but all right. Hey, I don't think I told you this, Nick. This is what he sent me.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
Spanish in 60 days.
Well,
I cracked up.
He cracked up, but did he open the book? Give us a one line in there, one short, easy line.
I didn't.
What?
You gotta flip through it, put your finger on it.
Yeah, it would be good to learn Spanish. It really would, especially even for my business.
Yeah.
And like I told Stefan, I was like, look, this isn't to change you as a person and your opinion, right? It was more so like I wanted him to have some arsenal, to have something to throw back at them, so they throw them off their track and they'd be like, oh fuck, like I think we messed up, you know. I love to have people have an ability to fight back. And it's not necessarily a fight, but more so to just be able to be like, all right, man, I got you too. Then we're gonna play this game. We'll play this game really well.
I like it. No, that's great. I mean, it's too bad you sent it to me, and I think I had 20 days left in the shop, and this says 60 days. So I just not enough time.
Louis said, add him on Duolingo.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, believe me, it is something. I'm about to have a little more time on my hands, leaving the body shop. So I get a lot of calls from people, and their first question is Spanish, and it's really their only question. And I go, no, sorry. And they go, and they always sound so disappointed. Oh, why? No Spanish. And then they hang up on me. But it's like, man, I feel like I'm just letting jobs like go, so I should put some work and some effort into it. If I can learn PDR, I can learn Spanish.
Oh, without a doubt.
Right.
I mean, if I could learn English, you could definitely learn Spanish.
From what I understand, English is probably one of the harder languages to learn. So it's not your first language?
No, it kind of is. It kind of isn't.
Okay.
So I moved to the U.S. when I was 7, and I didn't go to school. I went to school right away, but I didn't know English or anything. So it took about a good year and a half to catch on to small phrases and whatnot. So I kind of know what it's like to not be able to communicate, even though you want to, like the simplest of things,
Yeah,
and
sure.
It was a struggle when I first got there, but at the end of the day, you adapt and you move on, and it's really what it is.
I get it. I mean, it's I don't know what that's like, so like it's I have a lot of respect for anybody who takes that on, at any age, to learn a new language in a new country. So very cool.
So we've talked to a few people that's done that, and each time, that's a win in itself to be able to do that. It really is. And it's something you really don't even think about. You come in with all this extra stuff that you have to do just to be able to do like what we're doing right now. And it's crazy.
Yep. I mean, there's some people that I know that are still working on their English and are in the PDR world, and they are super talented people. And I've learned things from them talking to them. But the English just isn't there, and it's like I would love to have you on the show, but I feel like we would have a really hard time, So there's it's certainly opens up new opportunities. But anyway,
I agree.
You came over to the U.S. at 7. So at what made you like? Did you like cars already at that age, or were you a car guy, or like? What made you get into cars?
I remember teachers always asking like students, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do that was always a topic pretty much every year. And then mine was consistently, I wanted to be an inventor. That's what I wanted to be. Like every time they would ask me this, like, I want to be an inventor, because I used to just tinker with stuff all the time. I was always tinkering with things, and that's just that I think set myself up to like always want to do something with my hands. I was better with my hands than I was in school. I did okay, but I didn't do great. And so when I was making things, I felt better about myself.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it really started. Between wanting to be an inventor and being poor and not being able to afford things, I had to make things. I had to be able to not just make it, but know how it functions and whatnot. So
yeah,
I built a lot of my own BMX bikes from nothing. Like I would buy one part at a time.
Wow.
And that's how I ended up with bikes. And aside from that, I never bought a bike brand new from a store. Or even used. It was just pieces.
Yep. I feel like most of us who work with our hands have that in common. Kind of that when we were younger, we had that need to know how things work. And maybe that involved taking some things apart. Even if you weren't able to get them back together again. But
the funny story to that, because back then we had a VCR, and it was a 2-piece VCR. You have one set for the cassette, the other side has all the controls. And for some reason, it wasn't working, and I'm like, well, I'll take it apart and I'll see what I can do. Well, I should have never taken it apart, because that thing was expensive back in those days, back in like the early 80s, almost 90s. But I got it to work, and I put it all back together, and my parents never found out. But that's, I would take things apart all the time and put them all back together before my parents came home. But just because I wanted to know, like when you put the cassette in, what happens? You can't tell with the lid on it.
Right.
What's up, Brian?
No, that's I feel like we all kind of share that kind of personality. So that's interesting to hear you bring that up. Okay. So then so what did lead you to cars then?
I think that was high school. Junior high, I was blessed. California had really good classes. We had metal shop, wood shop, small gas engines, and element, and junior high. And then after that, high school had all the same classes plus auto body and mechanics, actual automotive mechanics.
Wow.
And wood shop and all that.
So we didn't have anything like that.
Since 7th grade all the way to high school, I took all those classes. The only classes I ever got A's in. Anything else had an F. I mean, it was horrible.
Right.
But
I get it.
Those are the classes that got me going all the time. And my automotive shop teacher is the person who really, he gave me the sight to think about, you're doing this now and you like it. What are you thinking about after high school? What are you going to do after high school? How are you going to pay for your life? And I never really had thought about it. I just used to make things and fix things, and I never made real money off of it. But he's like, you could be doing brakes, you could do whatever you want, but get paid.
Right.
And so at that point, he actually convinced me to go to biotech, which there's pros and cons to all that.
Right.
Right after high school, I barely graduated. I mean, I was in high school from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. the whole year, my senior year, because I had to make everything up that I failed.
I was in a similar situation, so I get it. Yeah.
It was not fun, but I knew that I needed to do it because I needed to move on with my life. Like, so I had to finally crunch down to playtime's over.
Yeah.
Let's get this going. And 20 days after high school, I went to biotech and stayed there for a year. Snow's not my thing. I can't stand snow.
Where is that? Where is it?
Biotech is in Wyoming.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense then. So yeah,
Yep.
they definitely get snow. Oh.
Yeah.
But I stayed there for the full year. I did auto body, collision refinishing, trim and upholstery, and street rod auto customizing. And out of that, I got my associates from there and a diploma on top of that.
Oh wow, good.
Which I wasn't, and it never never crossed my mind about that I was going to school and I was going to get something out of it that was, paper bag. I just went because I liked it and I wanted to make it my career. And after that, I went to a small shop, a little BMW shop, single owner, and I did horrible. I didn't know shit.
Of course.
I didn't know. I thought I knew everything and I didn't.
Hold on. Okay, so you answered my question right there. So when you left trade school, you thought you knew everything. That's common. Yep. Same thing happened to me. And
19 years old, and I thought I knew everything you could know. Yeah, and I didn't. And
how many BMWs did you work on in Wyotech?
What was that?
How many BMWs did you work on when you were in Wyotech?
None. Zero.
Right. So you went to a brand of vehicle that is engineered totally different than probably what you worked on.
Oh yeah. And, everything we worked on was 90s based. Everything. It wasn't a lot that you got to work on when you were there, but it's the science behind it.
But did they have actual customer cars in the trade school?
No.
So yeah, right. That's where the issue is. I mean, if you don't have customer cars with parts and a system, you're not learning auto body. You're just hitting metal with hammers. I mean, that's what they have you doing. Danny Hacker says hi, just so you know.
Hey, Danny.
Yeah.
I love Danny, man. Yeah. I never met him, but that guy he helped me a lot.
He's a good dude.
He helped me so much.
He helps a lot of people out here. Yeah, he's all over the place.
When I bought with that Wyotech, I feel the same way. Like they show you the science behind it, but not the practical side of it, right? And I think you're right. That's where they're failing at. And being in this long enough now, I wish they would do a system where it's like real life tear down. You do a triage, a repair plan, and then you go through the whole process of the estimators doing their side of it. And that's something I think they're missing out on too, is the estimating side of it. I don't know if it's current now or not, but then it wasn't never really talked about. But if they had a system in that way, if it worked just like they would in the body shop, it would make more people more successful.
100%.
Who need more of an understanding of how the body shop works and how to actually make it happen.
So I have a question for you. Based on what you just said, and if you had somebody who wanted to get into auto body, would you tell them they have no connections to the trade whatsoever, other than, I guess, you, because they're talking to you? Would you tell them to go to trade school, or would you tell them to be an apprentice at a shop?
I would ask them what they like more. Like if they're more a hands-on person, then I would tell them to be an apprentice. But if they're wanting to know the book side of it, the science behind it, I would tell them to go to Wyotech or a trade school. Not just Wyotech, but a trade school in itself. Because there are people who are better learners book-wise than they are being there in person. Putting the hours in, that 10,000 hours to finally become something of whatever you're practicing. But to me, it was an accidental knowing the science, so I could back it out. Like what I talk about when I'm doing something, I know the science behind it. I know how to explain it to people, like the adjusters or the insurance company when they come out. But I can tell them like I understand how this works. Not just because it's word of mouth, but it's on ink. I know how to find it. So it all depends on their personality to me. Like some people are definitely meant for trade school, college, and some people are just dive right in. Like your hand skills are meant to go right into it and not waste your time on things that you don't need to waste your time on yet. We have iCar, which it's got its ups and downs, but you still get to be trained. You still get trained by somebody who does it. I'm glad I didn't go straight to a shop for myself.
Okay.
I'm happy that way. Could I have become a better tech faster? I think so, but I like what I got out of it.
Okay, no, that's good. I'm one of the few proponents to trade school as well. I mean, most people will kind of crap all over it and say it's a waste of time. But I mean, for my situation, I believe it got me my first job. Helped me hold on to my first job when they saw I didn't know anything, which nobody does when they're starting. It showed I was able to commit to something and stick with it and complete it.
Yeah.
And
It's just like a job resume. Like you're there for a year or so, and you're like, oh wow, the guy's dedicated or the girl's dedicated. Yeah, let's navigate this person through our system.
Yep. To the point though about Wyotech and etc. Any place that's gonna show you how to work on customers' cars though, there's not a standard operating procedure for every shop. Every shop does it a different way. Every independent shop does everything a different way. MSOs, they have their own way. So if you were to go to Wyotech and say, hey, we need to train these people like this or like that, which route are you going to choose? Because there's so many. And I think that's why they don't do that, and why really it's if you want to learn like the fastest way possible, it's going to be an apprentice at an actual shop. But the way that you learn, the first way that you learn is always going to be referenced throughout your career as that's how I learned how to do it. So it's kind of important to pick a route like that.
It is difficult to retrain somebody when they have a certain way of doing it, because it's tough. That's why everybody wants to pick up the younger kids, because they haven't been programmed yet. And that's what, the hardest thing to do is to unprogram something that isn't driving with the rest of it. Like, it's not driving with your system that you're working with.
Right.
That is definitely something. You're right. You can't set that a certain way and it goes through every shop the same way. It doesn't. That's very true. But it's also regional. So when I went to trade school, it's also because I knew that in my area where I grew up in, didn't have enough shops, didn't have enough technicians. If you got into a body shop, it's because you knew somebody, and that's how it was. If you didn't know that person, and the amount of bodymen that were there were small, and so you had to go to the next town over, and that could be 30 minutes to an hour, before you hit something. And to me, that was kind of the thing. It's like I wasn't really able to go be an apprentice at a shop because we didn't have enough shops. Phoenix is insane. Like, you can throw a rock and your competitor's right there, literally.
I do. Right. There are a bunch of dent guys over there in your area. I have to say, like the PDR techs are plenty, and it's kind of funny because Phoenix is an area I always pictured myself ending up in. And man, I look at how many dent techs are out there. I'm like, maybe I don't want to go out there. There's already a bunch of them there.
You don't want to go compete?
I'm kind of happy with the fact that there's not so many dent techs in my area.
That's a blessing, and hopefully it stays that way for quite a while, But that's how it happened out here too, though, because was it 2008? I believe it was when we had one of the biggest storms around. And that brought so many of the hail chasers down. And that, I think, is what bloomed the amount of PDR people. Because prior to that, you didn't really hear about it a lot. You didn't, back in 2005 when I started for Auto Body World at that time, you didn't hear about things that repair. It wasn't a big thing. Yeah. And then 2008, there was that big hailstorm, and it brought everybody out. And all of a sudden, people are like, oh man, they're making so much money. And everybody wanted to become a PDR guy. And that's why I think there's so many people out here in Phoenix doing it.
Could be. I know a guy that's up here in Connecticut wants to move there just because he wants to get rid of the, leave the snow. So.
Oh yeah. Oh, I mean, it's a great place. If you can stand the heat in the summer, it's great. Like right now, I'm outside the shop and I'm in the outside literally, and I don't even know what. My long sleeve shirt for no reason. Like, I don't need this.
Quit bragging.
We can hear the birds. We can hear the birds.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's because your mic is swapped over on accident, but that's okay. We can still hear you.
No worries.
Don't worry.
No, I could hear the birds before. It's nice to hear the birds.
Everybody tells me that every time I'm on a phone call. It's like, I hear birds. I'm like, they're not my pets, but they're my pets because they're here all the time.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So let's get back to your story. So we got through Wyotech.
Yep.
Where'd you land up after there?
So Wyotech, that small shop that let me go, and I ended up at a Peterbilt shop, and I never had worked on the Peterbilt, but they needed people, helpers, and whatever.
Sure.
And there, everything's aluminum, huck rivets. You know, it's big, bulky stuff. And I was there, I think, 2 years, and it was just an hourly gig, and the body shop wasn't like a super great body shop. I mean, it was a bunch of old timers, and it was a rough place to work at. But I learned a lot.
Right.
I learned a lot about aluminum. And that's where I actually learned how to weld aluminum for the first time. And
That's good.
That was back in 97 to 98, I believe.
Wow. Okay.
And so, back then it wasn't like what the aluminum welders we have today. So it wasn't like practical and easy. And
Right. So what did that look like? So were they like the spool MIG guns with the spool gun on it?
That's what it was. You had the spool on it. Everything was cold, like it was a cold start on everything, and it looked like garbage. And if you didn't heat it up, it didn't conform right. But
Right.
you got used to it. But it was definitely a specialty. I learned a lot. I learned how to join two different cabs together, a sleeper and a cab, to two different styles. How to cut windows out, how to everything interior wise, how to take that apart. By that time, I had already known how to do upholstery, so they were having me do a lot of the V trim and sometimes the reupholstery side of it, just because that's that's kind of how it went. I just happened to know it because I went to Wyotech. Actually, even before Wyotech, there in high school, there is a class that you can go to a shop, and you can basically, it's like mentorship. But there wasn't enough shops, and there was an upholstery shop, and that guy actually happened to say, what, I'll take him as a helper and see what he does. And it was 2 hours a day, and that guy showed me how to do upholstery before I went to Wyoming. But that's a completely different story, and that's how that part of my life started, where I learned how to do upholstery. I still do it for myself, but I don't do it for customers anymore.
Yeah, that's cool. That's an art form in itself, the upholstery stuff. So I got a lot of respect for that. There's really only one guy in my area that does that stuff.
And that's how it was back home.
Yeah.
But so after that, I went to Peterbilt, and then I got tired of being in California just because there was nowhere else to go. There wasn't any other body shops. Like that's how small it was. Like you really had to go outside of your town and find something.
Wow.
Right.
So my brother was always trying to get me to Phoenix, and he lived in Scottsdale at the time. And finally, I just said, you know what, come by, we'll get a truck, and we'll leave. And he did. December 28th, 1998. He showed up, loaded all my stuff up, and I left. And I ended up in Scottsdale for a couple of years. And when I first got there, it was a loop tech. I didn't find a body shop. I just wanted a job. I just needed something right away, and I became a loop tech for like 3 to 4 months. And so I started applying everywhere. And I ended up as a production manager at this body shop, and that led me to, I didn't like production because it just wasn't my thing. And then I ended up back at the loop tech. Well, it was production manager and parts manager, and then there was loop tech. And I basically what it came down to is like, I can't stand being in a desk. Like that's what it was. Like,
okay, that's what it sounds like.
It became a thing where like, this isn't my thing. Like I see people doing things physically with their hands, and I'm just like typing away. I'm like, and that looks a lot more fun over there. And so I went to the loop side, mechanic shop side of it. Then it slowed down, and I quit there, and I actually went to work for an upholstery shop for custom furniture. And so I left the auto body industry, the whole industry all behind. And was doing like the wood frames for sectionals and chairs and everything that's wood based. Before I did the upholstery, that's what I was doing. It was a super high end job. It was cool. I loved that job. It was just the hours I didn't like.
What were the hours?
All the time. I was there all the time.
Okay.
Saturday
Yeah.
and Sunday.
I worked at a furniture shop when I first started, like as a teenager. That's one of my first jobs. Yeah.
It's fun. I liked it. I got to do a lot of cool things. I moved up really quick just because I knew what I knew and was the kind of person I was. I went to pretty much every delivery, and we're talking about mansions. We're talking about these giant places, baseball players, football players, all that stuff. And some of those trips that we took, we went to all over the states and dropping off stuff.
Right.
And it did that until 2005.
2005 is when you did that. Yeah.
That's when I stopped. That's when 2005 when I started back in auto body.
When you worked in there, did you? And the reason I'm saying this because I hear a lot of Dent Wizard guys talking about working up, but working like leaning upside down. You know what I'm talking about, like looking sideways and upside down. So that's how we worked in the furniture factory a lot, like pretty much looking upside down. So when I do dent work and stuff outside, that's the way I picture it because that's how I figured out how to work like that. But it's just funny to reference a lot of the Dent Wizard guys talking about working standing upside down pretty much.
Call it inverted.
Yeah, inverted, whatever. But yeah, I did that in furniture, and it's just kind of funny. It's funny to look back.
It is. I mean, you're kind of like almost blind, but like you said, you're kind of like at this weird angle, and you're not really looking at what you're doing, but you know that it's there. You know, you're pulling like when you're pulling fabric, you're pulling it to a certain stretch. You know where it's go, but you don't have it flipped. Right. Because what you're doing is you're running the material down, and then you're like this stapling.
Right.
And you're not moving the furniture around.
That was one of the most funnest jobs I ever had. I remember taking some fishing string and tying it to $1 and then tying $1 to my shoe. And when people would come down to pick it up, I just moved my foot, just playing around all the time. I glued quarters down and all kinds of stuff. That was one of the funnest jobs I ever had as far as like a kid goes.
Yeah, you look like somebody that would do that stuff.
Yeah, you look like you pick up $1.
So some of the trips though, they were amazing just because you got to get out of the shop and it was that part and going to these houses that were just so amazing. Some of the stuff
sounds interesting.
It was definitely fun. And I just fell into it by accident just because I knew woodworking.
Right.
I knew a little bit of upholstery. I didn't know a lot of furniture upholstery, but I knew enough. But when the frame part of it came into it, like I've never had built anything like that. But I just basically said, if you got plans and you got measurements, I can make it for you. That's what I need. And that's how I started it. And they had an older guy that used to make all the frames. And he actually came out and he's like, I'm gonna hang out here and I'm gonna show you how I do things, like what measurements to look for, how to figure out what you need, like what style they're asking for. And he did. He showed me so much, and we got along so great because he's like, I was always ready to learn. If you're there and somebody's teaching me, it doesn't just go over my head. I can't grasp everything, but I also make sure that whatever you're telling me, it has to somewhat stick, and I have to actually put it back out and not just be like, all right, well, he gave me all the information and do nothing with it. That's just, that's one of my pet peeves is giving the information and know-how, but then the person doesn't want to put the ability into it.
Right.
Yeah, lead the horse to water. Can't make them drink kind of deal.
Exactly.
No, you're absolutely right there. Yeah, it is frustrating. But man, does it feel great when you see that person you just taught something and then they use it and they go, you see that moment, the light bulb moment. And it's like, oh man, it makes it all worth it.
The apprentices that I've had, when you get that and they're doing that and they look at you and they're like, and you're like, that's what I've been telling you. It's there.
Yeah. Love that. They love those moments.
Yeah.
So
some of the stuff.
Yeah.
I feel bad for my apprentices sometimes, but at the time,
hey,
you gotta go through a lot.
Yeah, no, part of learning this trade is getting the raw end of some things, you know. I mean, how else are you going to learn? You know?
Especially if the guy that's teaching you has difficulty expressing how he does his job and wants to show you how to do it. That's also another end that can be difficult. But
Yeah.
Sure.
you know,
someone who doesn't have the ability to teaching
Right,
you. Yeah, I had to learn from a few of those.
Mhm.
I was taught by a couple of people like that, but it is definitely, you have to sift through it. You have to, if there's people who can and people who can't.
Mhm.
The ability to sift through all the stuff that's, it's either harsh or too difficult or whatever it is, but to be able to just sift through it and be like, okay, this is what I needed to know, and this is, this is, he gave me the information I needed. But yeah,
Right.
was he a jerk? Yeah, he was a jerk.
You can't really take it personal, you know.
No,
there are people
you
who
can't.
Can teach. I didn't start off great. Some of my first people who I taught was like my brother-in-law, and we had a rough time for a while. Personally, outside of work, and because of it, we patched things up. But now it's the point where he's like, "Remember when this happened?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Don't laugh." I'm like, "It just happened to you, didn't it?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Good." I'm glad it happened.
Good.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
No, I get it. I get it.
I was rough with him, and I was very difficult in the sense, because it was more like it should have been my way instead of being more of, this is how I do it and this is why it's my way versus your way. That further explanation of how to break it down to, like, I'm not trying to tell you no that you're wrong all the time, but I'm also telling you that there is the person in charge and then the people below that, and we'll get to that point where you're going to reach and we're equals. We're not there yet. We're still trying to get you there.
I work with a guy now who was my apprentice at one point, and when he first started, like when he left the shop we worked at before, he was kind of my apprentice, and at that point in his career, he was at that like big head kind of stage where he didn't want to listen to anybody. He's like, I got this, I don't care what none of y'all say, so it's like, all right, wee lad, go ahead and have your fun, do your mess ups, we'll see you in a few years. Now working with him, he comes in to work at this shop, and he kind of got a little combative with me, at first. And I'm like, listen, man, we were here and I was trying to bring you up here. Now you're up here. We don't want to talk like that anymore. We're right here, and it's like, oh, okay. It's like the relationship just completely changed. We're coworkers, at that point.
Right.
But man, you were talking about how the learning from guys that can't teach, and I mean, but you can still learn from them. Like you're saying, Roy, it's to this day, doing filler work, I can still hear the guy in my head, with certain one-liners that totally changed my ability to do what I'm doing. You got to say the whole thing at once, like I hear that every time I do filler. You got to say the whole thing at once, Whereas when you're a kid, you're going, the hell do you mean? I don't have a block that big, like saying the whole thing. What does that mean? It wasn't helpful at that time, but now I understand what he was trying to tell me. So yeah,
definitely a hard thing to do, to be a mentor and to find apprentices who want to be apprentices. Like, you have people who say they want to do it, and they don't think about the fact of whether they really want to or not. And sometimes you just have to get through them faster than other people and be like, hey man, like, I don't think this is really what you want. Like, you don't seem to be enjoying this. And if you're not enjoying it, I don't think you're gonna ever enjoy it. Like, you can see that you want something different than what I can offer. Doesn't mean that you tell them, hey, you can't be at the shop. I'm not the person, but I know that person is gonna jive with you just fine. Because I had that happen to me. Where there's, we're constantly doing this. We're there, and it's like, but look, you've talked to other people. You want to move on to somebody else. If I'll talk to them for you, and if they say yes, I'll make the rest of it happen. Because I don't want to lose somebody from the shop just because they don't get along with my ways, and I don't get along with theirs. It's like, we don't mix. That's okay. Doesn't mean you have to leave. It just means that you need something different. And that person, I could tell by their personality and your personality, that's the person for you. And that person actually graduated the program with that tech.
Okay.
But-
Okay.
And he wouldn't have graduated with me because we just did not get along. It's just the aspects of who was in charge and how things were done.
It happens. Sometimes you bump heads, you know. I mean, it's just different personalities and everything. So that's awesome that you're able to create a solution out of the problem instead of just saying like, I can't deal with you, you're on your own, you know, which is honestly, I've felt like that with kids, you know, like, and so that's a big deal. That's awesome to hear that you are able to get past that and still be able to help them by sending them to somebody else, you know.
So part of that too was so you guys obviously know I work for Gerber, and I go through the program. It's called the TDP program. They actually had a couple of workshops that helped us understand how to deal with people. Like, you know, that's part of what helped me become a better technician who is able to teach somebody. It's just I took a step back and I listened to what they were saying. It's like, man, they're hitting the nail on the head. Like, I can't expect the guy that's been doing it for 6 months to know what takes 3 years to understand. And freshman, I'm way too much. You know, I had to step back and be like, yeah, I'm overbearing right now. Like, I expect too much. I expect it too fast. If I could do it that fast, doesn't mean that they should be able to. Like, those things. I'm glad they have workshops like that because they help.
That's awesome.
That really went a long way, and that's kind of what kept me going through the program with them, because they actually offered something aside from just telling you you're in charge of them, good luck. And it wasn't that. You know, they recognized that there was issues there, and they wanted to step in and help. And that was a big help to me.
So what's the name of the apprenticeship program with Gerber?
It's TDP. TDP. Technical Development Program.
TDP.
Okay.
We had Caliber on, and they talked about their apprenticeship program, their TAP program.
Yeah.
And I love sharing this kind of stuff with the younger generation, you know, the ones that want to get into it, because I do believe in these apprenticeship programs. So, you know, I'd like to learn more about it. So maybe we'll reach out to Gerber, see if we can have some people from them on. I mean, I love that we're having you on, the mentor first, because that's really the aspect we want to hear about. And with the time that we have left, I'd like to focus on that. I know there's some gap here. We kind of left off. So how long was it? You said you went back to auto body in 2004. How long was it from then till you had mentors? Or until you had apprentices? Sorry.
That would be 2000, and I believe it was 11 or 2012, somewhere in that area.
So some good time then under your belt.
Oh yeah, it took me a while before I, you know, even going on my own. So the shop before that was Auto Body World, and their program was a 5-year program. So you had to be under somebody for 5 years before they even moved you up.
Oh damn!
Oh wow!
When I started, I was 30 or 31 at that point, and I said absolutely not. Like, I have less time than what these kids have. You know, like, I'm way older. I have more experience. That's like, I'm gonna do it in 3 years. And they basically told me that's not possible. We're not gonna let it happen. I said, not up to you. I pushed myself, and when I talk about those, nobody talks about the hours after work. That's what I mean. Like, for me, it was like I was always there after work, and I was always welding. I was always reading. I was always trying to, you know, try new stuff like plastic repair versus, you know, getting rid of a bumper or whatnot.
Yeah.
Like, I was doing everything that was coming in. It was a new trend, and, you know, trying to get past that point, plus learn what I was being taught. But that, and I was capable of doing it in 3 years, but that's when Auto Body World was bought out too. So it changed at that point, and so, you know, that'll went differently, but I was still kind of on my own. And then after that, like I said, 2011, 2012-ish is when I started to do a little bit more mentoring than anything else. Not anything else, but just in general.
Okay.
About how many people do you think you've taught that are successful now?
So right now, the two biggest successful people, dollar wise and hour wise, is my brother-in-law and his friend. So my brother-in-law is Weston Hausner, and then David Arteaga. And David Arteaga, sometimes you'll see him talk back and forth with me, but Stefan,
I
like,
think I've
will
seen the
always give
name.
each other shit.
Yeah.
But those guys really, really like hit the nail. My
Okay.
brother-in-law outworks me, outdoes the hours that I do, outdoes the dollar amount that I do.
Awesome.
And I think he's like 12 years younger than I am. So
That's to be
he's young,
expected.
you know, and yeah, which it is, but it does, the actual knowledge behind it is what always impresses me, you know.
Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
with David Arteaga, it's same boat, you know, they're successful in not just the business, but successful at home. They have a great home life. They have great things, houses, cars, you know, 401ks, and that's something I believe in a lot now for the younger generation who's listening. Get into your 401ks, get into investing, get into your futures. Think about the fact that if you want to retire at the age of 45 to 50 and push yourself that direction, because nobody taught me that, and I'm not where I want to be in comparison to my past apprentices like that. You know, my brother-in-law is farther ahead than I am. David is farther ahead than I am, and that's great for them. And that's the thing I put a lot now. My last apprentice recently is the same thing. I told him, pretend you're poor, don't spend your money, invest it, grow it. I want you retired by the time you're 50, like no later than 50. 45 would be ideal. That's what I want for him, and that's, you know, and he gets that. Like, he gets that. I'm not telling him to be frugal. I'm just telling him to be thinking about the future. Like, you don't want to do this forever. I'm about to turn 50, and you know, I could feel it, and I'm looking at it like, how am I going to close the gap? You know, and nobody told me like, hey, you should do this. And I want to do that for everybody who's younger, getting into the industry.
Right.
Whether you stick with it or not, I still want to retire at a young age.
That's great advice. I wish somebody would have told me that younger. And I mean, I want to add to that and say that just doing the bare minimum on your 401k is not enough. So that's something that I was fooled into believing, because I always did the 401k. I was always told, always take care of that, always take the matching amount, and yada yada. So I did. Well, at this point, I still have nothing. I always did it, and I still have generally nothing.
It feels like nothing, but it's definitely a better start than, you know, there's a lot of people out there who don't.
You're absolutely
correct. Who really do have nothing into it. You know?
You're absolutely correct. I just, you know, I stress, I want, if I was told to do more and I ignored it. But I wasn't told by my auto body mentors. I was told by the parents, you know, and you don't want to listen to your parents, you know, but if I think I could have, I like that you're sharing it, is what I'm trying to say.
It helps to go into this too, into 401ks, Roth, and all that stuff, and know what that stuff is, know what you're actually doing. That makes it more interesting than just somebody threw you a 3-letter, you know, little acronym out here, and you're like, yeah, throw all your money at that. And then it kind of sounds discouraging when you do that.
Right. And that's kind of where I'm still at. I still have no clue about most of that stuff. I'm learning a little bit now that I'm taking it under my own belt. You know, I don't have the W-2. I don't have the 401k matching anymore. So I have to put my mind on it. But I wish I learned it a long time ago. So
that's one of the things that definitely emphasize a lot when I'm like, my latest TDP graduate, his name is Xavier. And Xavier, I've always told him, like, I want you to retire soon. And everything that we talk about is like, what are you doing? Like, you're doing great at work, but let's take work aside. What are you doing to make yourself better for the future? Like, when do you want a house? Like, and, you know, the first time you ask that, they don't know. They're like, I haven't thought about that. I have roommates. And when do you not want to have roommates? When do you want to be on your own? When do you want to own the house that you rent out and you let them pay for your mortgage? You know, and we were always pressing on that. We didn't hide the financials. We do hours together. You know, I always, I show everybody everything. Like here's my pay, here's your pay, here's the hourly fee. Like it's here. It's all information that it's available for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they have to understand how that works. They have to look at it and be like, oh, we did an extra 15 hours. That really helped my check. You're absolutely right. It helped your check.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. That's great. I mean, I'll even add another thing to that. I mean, maybe they decide one day they want to leave auto body and start a mobile PDR business. Who crazy people? Let me tell you, you need some savings. You need some savings to do something.
You need
like
a little
that.
bit. You do need a little bit.
So it delayed me because I had all the skill and oh crap, I don't have any savings, you know. So so I mean, I don't know if they want me to share this information or not, but I will be on a podcast on Friday. It's the PDR Universe with Jean Vidic and Zishan Anjam. They're broadcasting from over in Europe. But that's something they asked me what my biggest piece of advice was for somebody making the move that I'm doing. And I just said, save money, save money. Just that's going to be your biggest. You need the nest egg. You need something to fall back on. And then it's about taking
is not easy.
No,
you know, the startup is, it's easy to say that you're going to do it, but once you jump into it and you're like you said, you know, you have to pay it for yourself. That check is coming from you. Where's that check coming from?
Right.
Savings. People don't think about that. They're like, they just jump into it and all of a sudden they're like living check to check and they're not catching up because they didn't have that ability to just lean back on something and let the flow actually happen. You know, let it.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
It's cool. It's definitely it's definitely an eye opener. But you know, I mean, we all learn somehow, you know, one way or another.
Great advice that you're giving everybody, and that's what people need. Like, it's not just because you're being told and that's all you ever heard. You felt it personally, and you know what it's like. But when you see somebody that you want to succeed, and you're like, "Hey, I want you to succeed. Look out for this. Like, this is gonna come at you, and if you're not prepared, it's gonna hurt."
Right.
And you know, then you leave it up to them. You're like, "All right, got the advice." You know, if you're not giving it to them, there isn't a single other person that's going to give it to them.
Yeah.
No, I agree. One thing that I used to do in a body shop a lot was, and I don't know if you take advantage of this or not, but I would listen to audiobooks and to pass the time. There would be times I would listen to music and whatever, but a lot of times I would be listening to something about investing or how to become this or that or the other, you know, like 7 habits of highly effective people, for instance. Those things, just because you know how to do your job well enough now to where you don't really have to think about it so much. It's just kind of repetitious muscle memory motion. So I would pop in an audiobook and retain information that way to figure out, hey, what am I doing with this? Like we were just talking about with 401ks and IRAs and mutual funds and all that stuff. That's another good way to learn a lot of stuff while you're also working. So, you know, and just keep that in mind. That's a really good tip.
I'm gonna have to try that out.
Yeah.
I typically just listen to music, but I never thought about that. And that's a good point. That really
music is fine. Music is totally fine, especially if you're doing a big job and you're grinding and you need that motivation. It's kind of like a cup of coffee. But when you're doing standard body work and you're not really paying, you know, you're paying attention to the job, but you're going to do a good job. Obviously, I'm not saying that, but you don't have to think about it. You know, you're just getting in there and going, hit an audio book, listen to that stuff, and whatever it is you're interested in. If you don't know about something, find it. It's more than likely on there, and the little amount that you pay for the subscription is going to more than help you in the long run.
Yep. And there's lots of, you know, there's self-help things, but what I'm doing right now is I'm listening to things that like are entrepreneur based. So I've got 2 books I'm in the middle of right now that are like, I've got some personal books that I'm in the middle of with Audible, but I like right now I'm listening to the E-Myth Revisited. So it's all entrepreneur talk and what small businesses should know before, like the mistakes that a bunch of small businesses make. Right. Here's what they are. So let me teach you them while you're starting. So that's what I'm listening to. Another one is an age-old book. Maybe you've heard of it. How to Make Friends and Influence People.
Right. Definitely heard of that book.
I'm listening to that one because I'm not good at that. And one of the things about getting dealership accounts is you really want to be friends with everybody there. And you know, I can fake it till I make it, but more tools in the toolbox, I'll listen and I'll learn while I'm pushing dents or sanding Bondo or whatever I'm doing.
Something that's helped me, a book that actually has, and it's kind of silly, but it's also not, is the 5 love languages. And although it's more based off relationships at home or personal, they also have one for work as well. But when you start to understand how somebody thinks and how they receive the information you give, it's like having 2 languages. You know, you're talking to them in their language, but they're giving it back to you in your language. So you're kind of like constantly like understanding each other. You know, like you tell them, hey, this is how I think things, and this is how you think things. So when you start talking to each other, and you guys decide to mend like that part of it where you blend into it, it helps. It makes you a better person in the sense of like you understand where they're coming from. So sometimes you'll be frustrated, but at the same time you're like, I understand why he's frustrated, so I should just like drop it because it's not what I'm going to tell him isn't going to fix it. It's not going to make it better. You know,
and that's
why you add to it.
Right. That's the good thing about something like Audible out there. And you're working in a trade. A lot of times you're working by yourself. Whatever it is that you feel led to learn, to seek out, whatever information it is, whatever is on your mind for future, to build yourself, whatever, it's there. And once you get it, you can listen to it over and over and over. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to add to something that you didn't catch the first go around. So it's a win-win in that situation. Aside from buying physical tools, you know, to do your job daily, whatever it is, impacts, all that other stuff, that is probably the number one tool I would say to have at all times. You got headphones, you got the smartphone, use it for that. It's more than just TikTok and social media. It really is. That all that stuff's fun and cool, but there's so much to learn on there.
And I feel like one of the major topics to learn about right now, AI. I mean, seriously, body techs, PDR techs, business owners, we can all use it to make our lives easier. But if you don't know how to do it, you're going to be left behind. So a little bit of information goes a long way. There's lots of information out there on using AI now.
Same thing as like, you know, there's glue pull now and a lot of PDR now, and if you're not using it, you know, people are getting left behind. You know, you gotta stay on top of what's coming. And you're right, AI.
I see that trifecta gun behind you. What kind of glue you got in that glue gun back there?
That's the Flex. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the Flex.
Cam Auto collision glue. Yep.
Collision.
Yeah, it's Cam Auto collision glue. Great glue.
Either that or I end up when it gets so hot out here in the summer.
Tab weld.
Yeah.
I'm mentioning them by their original brand name. So those are the glues that Kiko sells through their own packaging.
Yep. I remember when they kind of changed it. When I got it, the first time I got it, I'm like, that doesn't look the same. But,
right. But both really good glues. I actually have a whole box of that glue that I use every day. So
I'm lucky that our shop actually supplies it for us, along with the glue release from Kiko as well. Before I was buying it myself, and you know it gets expensive after a while. But at the end of the day, it made me a better technician. You know,
absolutely.
I jumped into it head first. Danny, he really helped me. And that's one of Danny's things that he helped me with, where it made it affordable for me. And
cool.
I gave up having a mini split in my garage versus buying the whole Kiko level 2 system on my
Nice.
own. And I
Nice.
told Danny that I was like, I'm gonna sacrifice having AC in my garage, and I'm gonna buy this. And this I think 2017 or 2018, and I jumped into it, and I said okay. And since then, you know, I use it a lot. I'm not perfect at it because I'm self-taught, but you know, it has so much benefit to it.
Right. That's one of the things out there now. If you're new to glue pulling or anything like that, the process is dialed in to the point to where it's a short run to get to the finish line now, to where it used to be a lot longer to figure out and work out the small details of glue pulling. Now it's so dialed in that a new tech could pretty much go in and just from not knowing anything to
it's almost unfair,
it,
you know, watching these new techs unlocking the panels. Like it's like
you have to go
it
through
took me
the whole growth process of it.
Yeah, but I'm happy to see it. I really am. But it's almost unfair, you know. It's
I say that because the new techs, like I said earlier, talking about computers, how to navigate situations like that, they're really good at that now. And the way these processes and stuff are dialed in, it takes almost no time to become efficient at what you're doing. So that's good, especially with these new ways that are out here.
So,
True.
So my last apprentice Xavier is an example of somebody who can navigate through the computer with breeze. And I know the Carl Liner system really well versed at it. And I showed him how to go through it and how to navigate through it. And he caught on so quick. It was insane. I'm like, dude, like this took me forever to learn. Like I had to learn a lot of it on my own and videos and all this stuff. And I showed you a few times and you're just blasting through it like it's nothing. Like I've been doing it for 10 years for you. And that kid, like he just grew up to that. Like he just, that's how they're built. They are, you know, technology friendly. That's been their whole life. They're iPad kids is what they call them. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I was on the younger end or the beginning end of that. I mean, I had to hold on to it myself, you know, stay involved with technology to keep up with it. But I've always been pretty good, you know, with that kind of stuff because I kind of grew up with it. I feel like it's the same personality as what we were talking about earlier. We wanted to figure out how things worked. So me as a kid, you give me a screen, I'm going to hit every button on that screen, find out what they do. Some of them really screw the computer up. Some of them really screw it up. But, you know, I learned. And now I'm really good with that stuff. So it's the same thing. It's just kind of the willingness to mess around with things. And I think some people are just not willing to mess around with technology or maybe not as much as others. That's all, you know. So it takes,
you know, depending on your age group, it could be intimidating. Now there are people who, regardless of what age they are, they're good at certain things, right? But when you mix technology with actual physical work, a lot of the younger kids get tripped up on it because they're trying to fix everything through the technology and not the physical side of it. And you have to remind them, you can't move the numbers on the screen. You have to move the numbers on the car.
Right. I mean, so there's the disconnect. That's what you got to get through to them. But yeah, man, it's it's all a learning process. That's for sure.
I really like to see younger people come into it, even people who aren't younger, you know, because sometimes you want to change in life, and that's fine. You know, but these younger kids, I appreciate when they do come in for the apprenticeship program. Our location is lucky. I think we graduated 6 and about in this last 3 years, which is a good amount for one shop to go through.
It is.
I'd say so.
The success rate is great, and that's what I like about it. I really want to see more people step into this role because it's almost a dying art, and it shouldn't be. It should be something that, you know, because you could be very successful in this, like between home life and work life. There's a lot of opportunity, you know, stepping out into doing PDR full time. You know, you don't have to stay in a body shop, but you could grow in every direction when you're in a body shop. You become a manager, become an estimator, you know, whatever you want.
Yep. I mean, you could learn everything about body shops and go and start your own shop. You could do that for a while, decide it's no good, and become a consultant for other body shops. You can just become a badass writer and then start getting invitations to be a speaker at events, like our friend Kyle Matskis. You know, like there's so many things you can do, but you have to have the drive and you have to push it yourself. I mean, nobody's just going to hand you anything.
Gotta be motivated.
Any part of the journey, no part of it.
They have a new program as well, and it's for management. So now they have a program based off growing people to become managers. Our production manager was the guinea pig to the program, and he's become a manager now for his own store. And that just happened recently, which, you know, again, you know, you go from being a detailer to a parts person to a production manager, and then all of a sudden now you're a manager. Like, kudos to him for wanting to take that headache on, because that's not something I would ever want to do.
Me either.
That's a lot of babysitting.
Me either. I better own that company if I got to manage it. I don't want to manage someone else's.
You got to deal with people like myself all the time. Forget that, man. Like I don't wish that upon anybody.
That's me. Yeah, it's 100%. I said, man, I wouldn't want to manage me ever. So I totally get that. I think Nick's frozen. Nick.
Yeah, he looks like he's a little sleepy there, but he's not. Oh, there you go. Now he's got a little feel.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Oh, he's back.
Internet issues. We love those. We love a good internet.
What else is there to talk about?
You made
we hit the hour mark already.
We're hit the hour mark. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we end the show?
Really, whoever's looking to do this for a living, it's a great opportunity. Whether you're young or not, you know, give it a shot.
Right.
The best thing that can happen is you come out with something that you really, really like, and it's life changing. Don't be afraid of it. If you don't find a mentor who is your fit, don't be afraid to say, hey, we don't fit. You know, if that mentor isn't telling you, but you know it, it is okay to tell somebody, hey, I would rather be with somebody else. If you're just starting off, listen and retain what you retain. Don't just hold it in. Actually put it into practice. It is the only way you're actually going to get farther. If you only listen and you don't use any of what that knowledge is, what was the point? You know, if you read a book, but you don't retain it and you don't use what's in that book, and you wasted your own time. You know, you're not doing yourself a favor. But yeah, it's definitely, you know, the doors are open all around you. It's not a single door. You can turn to your left, to your right. You can look underneath you or above you, and there's a door you can go to try something completely different or relevant to it.
That's great. That's a great sentiment. I couldn't agree more.
Love it. Love
the opportunities are there. You just got to go and grab them and apply your knowledge, please.
Yep.
Whew. Kids, man. Right. Well, Roy, thanks for coming on. Seriously, this has been it's been a really fun conversation.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. You know, like I told everybody when I was telling them about it, like this is amazing to me. Like this is a personal accomplishment, and it hits the heart. I appreciate both of you for doing the podcast you do.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Giving me the opportunity. It's great. I hope it goes on for decades and decades, because you guys are crucial to the environment that we're in.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, we work hard at this. We don't make any money off of it. We do it truly just because we love to do it. You know,
it gives people a place to be if they don't have anywhere else to go. So
right.
That's the best part.
All right, well, everybody, I'm gonna end the show here. Thanks, Roy, for coming on. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in the back room after we go off, and everybody else, we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
So crank it up.